Hi guys, I am going to be showing you a tutorial on how to graph your data from your lab. Now this is the first time we're going to be graphing, and we really want to make sure that you understand how to do this because graphing our data in a lab is really important to show trends, and it helps to visualize the results, which can make things more clear when we're trying to conclude and analyze our data. So instead of doing hand-drawn graphs, we're going to use computers for this, and we're going to use Google Sheets. So how you're going to do this, when you actually collect your data, you can write it down in your data chart in your notebook in the data table that you created. But then once you get that, you're going to plug that all into Google Sheets to create your graph. So if we go to Google and then you go up to the little waffle thing in the top right hand corner, click that and then click Google Sheets. Now if you don't see that, if you actually just type into Google Sheets, it should come up. Alright, so you're going to just create a blank form, okay, and you can title this Cell Respiration Rates Lab. Alright, now just coming up with something off the top of my head here, let's say we were seeing if cellular respiration, the rate of it changed in our yeast solution when we added heat to the solution. So let's say we're going to do our temperature here, and then the time it took to change the color of the bromothymol blue. Let's change it there. Okay, so we've got our two columns here. Let's say we did, I'm just going to make up some random temperatures here. Let's say we did 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Now you could include in your temperature, you could say degrees Fahrenheit. There's probably a shortcut to do the degree sign, but for right now we're just going to type that. Alright. Now let's say you had 100 and then 150 and then 200. Now that would be pretty warm. Alright, and let's just theoretically come up with some numbers here, and we're going to say, alright, it took at 100 seconds, it took, or at 100 degrees, it took 20 seconds, and you're going to put your unit of measurement up in the title. Alright, so seconds, 20 seconds. This one it took 30 seconds, and this one it took 25 seconds. I have no idea if those numbers are accurate. You're going to have to do your own lab to figure that out. Alright, so what you're going to do here is you're going to highlight these things that you want to graph, and you come over to the More thing right there, and then you click this little button that says Insert Chart, and click that, and it does it for you. Now what you can decide then is what kind of chart you want. So if we were comparing three different entities and they were all three different labs, then we could do a column chart. However, we kind of want to show a trend here, so we're going to do a line chart. Okay? Now, one thing I want to point out is that if you look here, the first thing we put in our chart was temperature back here, and then time. And if you look, temperature down here, and then time over here. So you want to make sure your variables are set up the right way. And the way that you would do this is you want to say, okay, this on the x-axis is, I'm sorry, on the y-axis is our dependent variable. And you want to kind of put it into a sentence. The amount of time it takes to change the color depends on the temperature of the solution. And in our situation here, that makes sense. This confuses a lot of people because most graphs you see time on the bottom, okay? But for this situation, time is dependent upon the temperature, so this is how you want it to be set up, okay? So if you look at this, it's showing us, okay, as the temperature increases, the time increases and then comes back down. Okay, so this would be our graph that we would want to set up. If we were to change the variables up, if you go here, switch rows, columns, what you get is this weird, I don't even know what you would call that, all right, and that's not really showing us what we want to see. All right, so go back, switch the rows back. And then there's also a lot of other editing options you can do here. You can change your data range. You could change the headers. If you click up in the title up there, you can change what the title of the graph is. And we would recommend changing the title of the graph. All right, so what you're actually testing is rate of cell respiration of yeast and sugar solutions at different temperatures. All right, and make sure it's all the right setup there. Okay, so that's basically how you would set up your graph. Now, let's say you did temperature as one variable, and then you did the amount of sugar as a second variable. Well, then you could just kind of go back to your data table, all right, and set up another table. So if we just kind of scroll down here, we could say amount of sugar in grams and the time it took to change it back. And then you could fill this in here. I'm just making up numbers. That's a lot of sugar. All right, and let's say it took 10 seconds. You know what? We don't need the variables or the unit. We just need the number. All right, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I have no idea if those are accurate. All right, again, we highlight, we go to more, the drop-down menu, click the chart. We would want to change this to a line chart or line graph, and again, time that it's taking the cellular respiration to occur is dependent upon the amount of sugar in our yeast solution. All right, you'd want to change that title, and then when you go to complete your lab, you would include both of these graphs and the one that you would make for your third variable. All right, and that is a quick tutorial on how to create data graphs in Google Sheets.